Good evening and welcome to our Wednesday, March 22, 2017 edition of the Government News Brief. In the news this evening, the Central Housing and Planning Authority's Settlements Regularization Unit moves into Le Penitence and Rimeville areas. Implementation of Sexual Offences and Domestic Violence Action Plan closer to becoming a reality, and the Ministry of Public Health is working to improve the academic performance of nurses. Stay tuned for these and other stories. Thank you for staying with us. I am Renetta LaFleur. Here are the details. The Central Housing and Planning Authority, CHNPA, is moving towards addressing the problem of illegal land occupation in the city. Zanil Williams has the details.
The Settlements Regularization and Upgrading Department of the CHNPA is currently in the process of completing a survey of the squatting areas in Georgetown. This is part of determining their suitability for transformation into regularized housing areas. The process started in Sophia last year and is now focused on the Le Penitence-Rimeville area. According to Chief Executive Officer of CHNPA, Delon, 2 weeks ago, the housing unit began working in the area.
We are currently in the process of regularizing the plantation, Le Penitence, Rimeville area, otherwise called Sideline Middlewalk. Recently, we did a household survey, and basically it is a block and occupation survey. And what we did, we gather information on the number of units there, housing units. And currently we are doing the design, and after we complete the design, we will go back on the ground and verify that information. Thereafter, the area would be marked. We will identify the roadways and the drains.
Surveying the area includes subdividing the land and documenting each household profile, including squatter occupancy. This would also determine the suitability of the area for housing development. Factors such as threats of erosion, flooding, and the proximity of the area to basic services. Saul explains that this would allow for a design plan for the community's development and or relocation of those squatters who live in sections of the area that are not determined suitable.
The design must be completed because from the design we would be able to identify the reserve, roads, drains. And then we have to go back and we have to survey the individual plots, put down the poles, and to mark that area. When that is completed, only then we can do whatever infrastructure work that is necessary. We anticipate that design would be completed in 2 to 3 weeks' time.
More than 700 structures occupy state reserves in Georgetown and its environs. Saul says that the housing unit would soon be turning its attention to the east and west Rimeville front road areas.
All squatting in Georgetown would be addressed. And very soon we would be moving into the front road area also to address the issue of squatting in the front road area. It is not desirable that anyone should be living under those conditions, and hence our agency would be addressing the issue of squatting.
CHNPA's move to clean up all the squatting areas in the city and around the country is in keeping with the government's thrust to develop holistic housing solutions. CHNPA has identified at least one area to relocate those squatters living at high-risk, environmentally unsafe areas that cannot be regularized. CHNPA is looking to build rent-to-own houses for these squatters. CHNPA is also preparing a comprehensive squatter regularization and relocation plan, which would encompass all the areas that are to be regularized, as well as those that cannot be regularized. Zanil Williams reporting for the Government News Brief.
Implementation of the 2017 to 2021 Action Plan for Sexual Offences and Domestic Violence is now closer to becoming a reality as members of the National Task Force continues consultations. Details from Delon, Sancho.
Minister of Social Protection Amna Hali says for years there have been an uprising in sexual violence cases and social ills in Guyana. It is therefore necessary, the minister says, to implement the act, and feedback is necessary in doing so.
The National Plan of Action for the implementation of the Sexual Offences and Domestic Violence Acts 2017-2021 is intended to be implemented throughout Guyana by the Sexual Violence Unit of the Ministry of Social Protection under the guidance of this National Task Force on Sexual Violence and the Domestic Violence Oversight Committee, and will serve as a guide to prevent and respond to violence against women.
The plan is expected to be launched in May 2017. Manager of the Sexual Offences and Domestic Violence Policy Unit, Akilo Doris, explains that in the interim, the task force has to create awareness.
The activities of the task force does not prevent or limit individual agencies from implementing programs of their own. You would have already had your budgetary allocations. However, we're hoping that once we can finalize our plan of action, that we can have a budget specifically for implementing activities at the task force level. So the task force will be really adding value to what the individual partners are doing.
Director of Public Prosecution Shalimar Ali Haq adds the emphasis must be placed on informing persons on the policies and laws guiding sexual and domestic violence. The DPP stresses that persons must adhere to these laws.
The persons need to understand that if they're between 12 and 14, you cannot have consensual sex with somebody who is more than 2 years older than you. And if you're between 14 and 16, you cannot have consensual sex with somebody who is more than 4 years older than you.
The task force will continue to meet for consultations once every 3 months until the action plan is implemented. Delon Sancho for the Government News Brief.
The Ministry of Public Health is working to have the necessary technology and equipment in classrooms to improve the academic performance of nurses. Details in this report.
Speaking with the Government Information Agency today, Minister within the Ministry of Public Health, Dr. Karen Cummins, says the ministry is involved in several projects aimed at improving the pass rates of the professional nurse state final examinations.
Right now we're working with the NSERD, NSERD from Ministry of Education. We're working with our nursing council. But the truth is that about 2 years or so we have changed our curriculum, which was kind of unfair to the students because the lecturers or the teachers would have to be changed with the curriculum, so to speak. And so we are working assiduously to bring them on par, to have the necessary technologies and equipment, and that will all go well for a good classroom environment so that we can promote or have the students have less failure rate. So we're working with the nurses, working with them on the curriculum so that they can come up to speed with technology so that we can improve the standards.
The examination, which was administered in October, had to be resit by 150 nursing students since there were allegations that the paper was leaked. The examination was re-administered on February 21, 2017. Those who had to resit the nursing exams were students from the Georgetown School of Nursing, the Charles Rosa School of Nursing in Linden, the New Amsterdam School of Nursing, and the privately operated St. Joseph Mercy Hospital. According to a recent press release from the ministry, the future nursing program will entail clearer guidelines for the Nursing Council and an enhanced marking scheme. Delon Sancho for the Government News Brief.
The Guyana Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative has intensified efforts towards becoming a member of the international body. Tiffany Rodias tells us more.
Coordinator of the GEITI Secretariat, Dr. Rudy Jadupat, says Guyana is looking to submit its application by mid-year.
Subgroups have been formed to actively engage in finalizing the terms of reference and a confidentiality agreement and a work plan. Focus will soon be shifted to the preparation of the application for EITI candidacy. The MSG hopes to submit its initial candidate application by June-July 2017.
Guyana is expecting to become a member of EITI, an international body that sets accountability and transparency standards in the extractive sector by the end of the year. The update of Guyana's progress was made at a briefing for the media set up by the civil society component of the multi-stakeholder group of the GEITI. Dr. Jadupat notes the MSG is integral for Guyana's candidacy.
The MSG is the main decision-making body responsible for setting objectives for the EITI implementation, producing EITI reports, and ensuring that the findings contribute to public debate. A fully functioning MSG is essential for Guyana to be accepted as an EITI candidate country.
Last month, the MSG was officially launched, comprising 4 representatives, each from government, industry, and civil society. Dr. Jadupat says that the local secretariat, which currently works out of the Ministry of Natural Resources, will soon engage the general public in a series of public awareness, education on what is the EITI and Guyana's candidacy. For the Government News Brief, Tiffany Rogers.
The National Agricultural Research and Extension Institute, NARI, is emphasizing the importance of certification for farmers exporting local produce. Delicia Haynes has the details.
Farmers who may be thinking of exporting their agricultural produce must first ensure that their farmlands are certified. This certification means that countries to which produce is exported are guaranteed quality checks. Chief Executive Officer of NARI, Dr. Udo Humnot, says that the certification process is to ensure that protocols with regards to fresh produce are adhered to.
Farm certification is a very essential component, not only for local produce, but also it's a requirement for exporting. We have signed, the Ministry of Agriculture would have signed protocols with many of the exporting countries, including Barbados and Delicia and elsewhere. And one of the requirements for export to many countries is that the farm must be certified. And that's a role that NARI plays, because we have to offer that certificate at the end of the day for the product that is being exported.
Dr. Humnot explains that the certification process will show that green and other fresh produce exported have been subjected to recommended farming standards. He adds that some countries, however, do independent routine checks to ensure that the product is of requisite quality.
We don't want to export some commodity to another country, and when it goes there, it's rejected, because this Guyana will suffer at the end of the day, because once it's one commodity, we will have issues with others as well. There are also cases where, I don't know if it still happens, but we had the persons coming in from the countries we exported that come here and ensure that, and they do their own visits by themselves to ensure that our farmers, at least those who are certified, are in compliance with the certification process.
Farm certification also allows local businesses to sell quality products to Guyanese without the need for importing. One of the most important certification aspects is the maintenance of farm records and inspections by extension officers of NARI. The certificate lasts for a period of 3 years but is monitored twice per year. For the Government News Brief, Delicia Haynes.
Today is World Water Day. The day is being observed under the theme, Why Waste Water? Minister of Natural Resources, in observance of the day, says World Water Day is a day dedicated to focusing attention on the world's water crisis. Clear water is vital for sustainable development and for quality of life. Therefore, reducing wastewater at home and in agriculture is beneficial. On this World Water Day, Gina encourages you to let us take steps to reduce our wastewater. Remember, fresh water is not as abundant as you think. We have come to the end of today's edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on Gina's website. Gina has an active Facebook page, and we encourage you to visit and like us so you can be updated as the news unfolds. You can also subscribe to our website and YouTube channel. Do join us again tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. I am Renette Lafleur. Thank you for watching.